Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. Life is Strange podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I am here. I need to unlock more planet cards and make my Jokers holographic.
Yes, you should make them holographic. That's what we want. That's what the audience demands. And I hope the spread the arts is exceptional this time as well, because you set the standard for the last two episodes.
I will be upfront. There is no excitement this one. I'm exhausted. We were just talking before we recorded, and like we're both like super exhausted for this week. And I was like, oh man, I have nothing planned. I have no popper. I was legitimately going to go out to Party City and get those like poppers, like, but it's been a long week.
Boom, guys. Boom. He's let us down now. 2 weeks, two exceptional runs, and he's let us down there. That is bad, that.
Yeah. Sound like my father.
Well, let's not dig into that. Let's not dig into that topic right now. We'll leave that for the Life is Strange father-related issue that we do, because that is a common theme with Life is Strange. But anyway, we'll carry on with this episode. But yeah, we are back. We're now 19 episodes away from 100, which is quite well, we would technically get to 100 earlier because we have recorded 2-part episodes before, but we are like 19 episodes away. So obviously, thank you everyone to watching the last episodes with Erica Mori as well. It was great to have her on here. And also, it's great to have those 2-part episodes. So thank you so much for supporting that. But before we start as well, if you are new here, as always, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, and share with friends. Helps support a very small channel, helps keep up to date with all the content we do. And StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. So check us out on Spotify with a video version, Apple Music, whichever podcast service we're on there. And thank you to everyone who follows us on Spotify. We have 239 followers now, and we also have 28 5-star ratings. So we're now back at 4.9 ratings as well. So if you haven't already, please do rate us, because it really does help us. And thank you to someone who rated us on Apple Podcasts as well, because we're now on 3 5-star ratings. We don't have that many on Apple Podcasts. So thank you for the support on those podcast platforms. Just a heads up as well, there's a lovely little video with Alex, Dreamwalker, Dream Prison, who we've had on StrangeCast before. I invited him on for a lovely insight into PAX West. He went there firsthand, and he was one of the people that asked Jonathan Stauder a question during the panel. So go and check that out, because for the basis of this as well, we're taking out a lot of the content from PAX West. So we're not going to cover it on this episode, because by the time it comes out, this episode will be in like the second to last week of September when this episode comes out. Which will be next week, because we're recording the 15th.
You are correct, yes.
Yeah, so by the time it comes out, we're at the heading towards the end of the month. A lot of people have talked about it. You can go and check it out on YouTube and stuff like that. We've covered it on our social feeds, so we're going to cut it out. And I think I kind of intentionally had Alex on as well, because he gave a really good perspective in terms of what he saw. So do go and check that out. I feel like it's well worth something. You can listen to someone's experience from that. And he also shows some really interesting badges that he got from that as well. One of which was a flower, and we were still trying to deduce that, what the meaning was behind the game. So yeah, check out that content. But as I said, PAX West stuff will have very minimal role in this podcast. And also, we've kind of cut out some of the interviews as well that we're going to be covering. We're not going to go full length as we've done in other episodes, because we have a lot of topics to talk about Adam as well. And I imagine if people see the thumbnail and also the title and stuff, we're going to be talking about the Ultimate Edition as well, because as a Life is Strange podcast, we won't be buying into that, but we'll come on to that later as well. Adam, should we kick things off? Because I think our first couple of pieces of news are very fun, if anything.
Super fun.
So obviously we'll be using our screen share feature here. So if you are a listener on audio only, we'll keep you up to date with what we're actually showing as well, just to give you a bit of context. So the first piece of news, this is on our Twitter feed, and you'll see in a common theme in this podcast episode, our Twitter feed appears a lot. So you should really follow us, because you'll be able to keep up to date with all your content that you need for Life is Strange. It's almost like a running aggregator for news website now for Life is Strange and Deck 9 and Don't Know content. But first piece of news I think is really good, which is none other than Tessa Rose Jackson. And I think, did I just open up the wrong thing? I just opened up the wrong thing here. So we're going to move that out of the way. Apologies.
Oh, right. Yes.
No, that was me. Sorry. I've just opened up the wrong story piece. That let me quickly pull this open.
Yes.
Or did I close that?
Oh, no. I'm going to entertain the folks. I'm growing out my beard. It's growing slowly but surely. I once had a Viking beard, and I'm growing it back out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we got it. No more talking about my beard. Stop being gross.
No.
Okay.
So it's just like all the others have like arranged in a certain order. This one hasn't. So, but we'll go back to it. So the first piece of news is here, which is that Tessa Rose Jackson, who we've heard before, her song was Illusion in the reveal trailer for Double Exposure. They posted a video in the week that we're recording, which again, we're recording the 15th, and she has confirmed that she is the score composer and songwriter for Life is Strange Double Exposure, and she's now produced a new song called So This Is Lonely for the OST. So that is officially confirmed. There's a video there that was posted on our Twitter page. Let me just pull up another one here as well of a news piece just to put it into context as well. I'm trying to pull it up here. Yeah, sorry. So I've also got this one as well, which is Tessa Rose Jackson revealed some of the score, people who worked on the track, which is available. So I wanted to give these people a shout out because obviously Adam is here as a musician, and you obviously appreciate me giving these people their flowers for the work that they put on her new track, which is So This Is Lonely. As you can see them listed there, Feel for Music, did the music supervision, additional electric guitar from Kevin Van Morsel, mixed by Darius Timmer, and then also as well mastered by Mike Hillier at Metropolis Studios. And if you remember as well, Adam as well, Metropolis Studios is the location where she was with Freddie Mercury's piano, as we covered in a previous episode. And then one more thing here as well before we start the discussion, and this is for Tessa Rose Jackson here, which that is not pulled up, that wrong one. There we go. So I've got it here. So as well, this is the one which is So This Is Lonely has ascended into her top songs on Apple Music. This was within the day that it dropped. It is ranked in the top of her songs. The metrics are a bit interesting because I spoke to Adam about Apple Music of how it works, but I do think it works off of like popularity, how much people have listened to it, etc. But it has ascended into that. And Tessa is an indie musician, just for context. And also as well, Illusion has broke into her top songs as well, which is very much indicative of the Life is Strange effect. So Adam, start with, I think I'll leave it with you because you are my resident music expert and a lover of all things music. Have you listened to So This Is Lonely?
I have not. Just
cancel the podcast. Just cancel the podcast.
I haven't been listening to Apple Music or Spotify, so I've been pretty much exclusively listening on Bandcamp, like all of my stuff. So no, I have not listened to this because again, I've canceled my Spotify and my Apple Music, so I haven't heard it.
Interesting. Have you listened to the original track, Illusion?
Yeah, I've listened to Illusion. Yeah.
So I thought, generally speaking, like the song that she's done, So This Is Lonely, is like a lot more softer, a lot more kind of like chilled out, laid back. I prefer Illusion because I'm more of a drum heavy kind of like, smashing the noise kind of thing. And that's the kind of tempo that's set with Illusion. And that's not me saying that I don't like this. So This Is Lonely. I think it's a very nicely, aptly song. It kind of fits in with the theme of the other song we'll be talking about very shortly from the soundtrack. But I very much feel vindicated here, Adam, as well, from what I said from very early on, that I said that when I was like criticizing what is Life is Strange DNA, which has been repeatedly said before in the marketing for this campaign, I was like, I felt that this is the only DNA thing in the Life is Strange series so far that has been kept.
Yes.
And I'm very happy that she's being brought on as a score writer and a songwriter for this series, because it seems like they're basically just doing all original tracks. Because we spoke about like the fact that Jonathan Stauder said that there's no returning artists, so it seems like they're recording all their original tracks so people can basically stream this game, put it into their marketing. It feels like there's a bit more kind of like a deeper meaning behind why they're doing it, because they don't want people to get hit by copyright strikes and stuff. But in the sense of music itself, I think the music is very good. I think I'm very happy with it. And even with my collector's box, which I'll be getting next month, lovely, I feel quite happy with that purchase just because I know the soundtrack is going to be banging. Like, I have no doubt that this soundtrack is going to be in that conversation of where the other ones are. And I think it might even be better than the Angus and Julia Stone one for True Colors, just from the first couple of tracks I've heard so far.
Okay. I think it'll be. I don't know if it's better or not, but yeah, that's a tall order to be better than Angus. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like the daughter one is seminal, and obviously the Jonathan Morelli from Life is Strange one is good. Life is Strange 2 is a different animal because I think the sound has to be different because of the story it's telling. But I think like just from the early tracks of Chloe Moriondo and then Tessa Rose Jackson's 2 songs so far, I vibe off it really well. I think it's got a very good tonal feel for the entire game so far from what we've seen, and I think like her range is phenomenal. Tessa Rose Jackson as well. I love the style that she has as well as a musician, and also as well, fittingly laces into one of your earlier thoughts that you said in a previous StrangeCast episode, was the fact that you feel that musicians and indie musicians are better composers than people who specifically train into composers. Yes. And she is like literally now being confirmed as the songwriter and composer, score composer, sorry, for this. So I think it's all kind of fall into line, and I don't think among even our criticisms, among many other things, I think we're kind of like both happy with this, if anything.
Yeah, I think the music in Life is Strange, for a lot of people who are fans of Life is Strange, is a lot like, okay, it's going to sound wild, but feel me out here. It's a lot like the Tony Hawk games. It introduced you to a lot of different artists. Like, for me personally, I found out about Rage Against the Machine from Tony Hawk 2. Like, when that game came out and Guerrilla Radio was like around, I was like, wait, what am I listening to right now? And I immediately looked up like what Rage Against the Machine was. And when I was a kid, that's how my introductory was to Rage Against the Machine. They were quite prominent before then, but like in my childhood, lizard brain, I was like, I need this. Same thing with Life is Strange. The important thing about Life is Strange that it introduces you to a lot of new artists like Novo Amor, as you said before, Daughter, and now we have Tessa Rose Jackson. Like it puts a lot of new eyes on these indie artists that needed eyes to begin with. So, Tessa Rose Jackson, quite a talented artist, and I'm glad more eyes are being put on her because, again, last point I'll make. When you were saying that like indie artists are better composers than, pop artists, because pop artists are more of the chefs in the world, and they will know what to formulate. They know the recipe to make a hit song, and that's why they're like, oh, all new music sounds alike. I'm like, yeah, because it's a recipe. It's a recipe to make things sound good. Whereas indie artists, they can experiment. They can do quirky things, and that's what makes it sound unique. And so I'm glad that, Tessa Rose Jackson, who does sound unique, is going to be part of the Life is Strange legacy.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like, even with, as you said, like I remember Ace of Spades from Motorhead being Tony Hawk, and it's like firmly ingrained in my head. And it's like, even the established musicians somehow reach out to other people. And I think like you have to be quite crazy to pass up opportunities to be in the game. I think you might have seen the GTA story, which recently happened with the artist. Did you not see it?
So depends what you're talking about. There's a lot of GTA news going around.
GTA 6 story with, I think, was this Heaven 17 or something, the band?
Yes.
Which, by the way, as well, I don't know how you feel about that. I think that they messed up so big on that time as well, because I saw people saying, pay them the industry rate, pay them this. They're paying them very well, by the way. And then obviously the main thing, if anything, they're taking the royalties away, which I kind of get. However, this is Grand Theft Auto. And I think you would be mad not to take that opportunity, because everyone will hear you. You have name recognition. You'll probably make up that money that you think you're losing through the amount of people who are going to stream this, because there was even a thing where, like, when you go on Google Trends, their names spiked through the roof because people were searching up, being like, who are they? Why have they like passed up this opportunity? And it's like, the simple fact for Rockstar, they're going to basically just turn around to someone else and be like, hey, you got a similar vibe, we'll just use your music instead, because working in that industry, everyone is producing music now. It's not even like it's hard to find music. And I was like, that is like the biggest. I think personally they're gonna like really look back on that, being like, that was not a very good decision, because if it was me, I would have, like, even if it's $7,500, whatever, you're in Grand Theft Auto. We're not talking about a smaller game where it's like Nintendo. It's Grand Theft Auto, which is known for iconic music, and part of that kind of thing. People listen to songs more because of Grand Theft Auto, but we're not a Grand Theft Auto podcast, so I'm going to leave that here. And Adam, I'm going to infuse the next topic as well into here as well, because I think it's just fitting to do it in here as well. And oh my god, no, they've all like just scrambled up in my, they're all listed perfectly, and now they've like moved out of here. But the other part was here, which was that we had a story from the fact that we already know that Chloe Moriondo is on the soundtrack for this game with September. Then they released this live version of the video that was posted on YouTube. So I kind of wanted to just bring this in as well, just in the sense that, have you listened to that track?
Yes. That was the track where everybody thought it was Billie Eilish, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, it sounds like Billie Eilish. I'm like, I don't think it's going to be Billie Eilish. Like, not to say that Billie Eilish is too big for Life is Strange. Like, I don't think she would deny the fact. But like the whole point of Life is Strange is that you have these, quirky indie artists. I'm like, I don't think Square would get Billie Eilish to go do it. So
No. And also as well, to put that much money, we were already talking about the fact
Yeah.
that this game's been like cut on corners and different budgets. It's like not a chance. I really vibed off this track. I've been listening
Yeah.
to it more and more every single time. It's like now in my library, and it's like I again have really enjoyed this. So it's like I think this kudos like puts in the entire conversation we've had so far about musicians and the artists and the people you get introduced with. I think this is a very vibey song. I've never even heard of Chloe Moriondo before this game is coming out, or even the marketing and stuff. So it's kind of like, again, nice for me to have an introduction to Chloe, and then also as well to hear the songs. I think the song is very good as well. And I think like, hopefully Square Enix like had told Chloe, being like, you share the same name with someone else, and we're not mentioning the other Chloe in the marketing, because all they seem to be getting is that. So I thought I'd give it a shout out. But yeah, I thought that was a very good song, if anything. And speaking of Chloe, Adam, we'll go into our next topic here, which is very brief. I'm not going to play it necessarily speaking, but this was like in the interview with Chloe Moriondo. So they did an interview, they posted on their YouTube page, and there was a couple of like little snippets of scenes in there. And one of them was obviously cat content, but we'll come on to that into our main topic, because there'll be a lot to talk about that. But there was this other part. So I've got the quote here. Again, guys, as well, a common theme. It's on our Twitter page. They've all turned into aggregators, so you can kind of keep up to date with everything you need to know. So it's a quick line from Hannah Telle, obviously, as Max Caulfield, and Max is sticking the hand out, and it's like, I haven't done this supernatural BS since high school. And it seems to be like almost, I'm going to close that down if anything there. So it seems like almost the evolution point of like, we know that the time, we already know that Max's power evolves, if anything, but it's kind of like alluding to the fact that there's almost like she's going to like rewind in between this power. This could be at a later stage in the game, potentially, because I know there's some theories. I think even Alex said to me he thinks that, her power will come back at some point. It'll kind of come back into the later stages of the game where it's like it almost gets infused into the new power, because it seems to be alluding to it. I wonder what you thought about that scene, just seeing her do something like this, because it seems to be rattling a couple of people, if anything.
Why? Why is it rattling a few people?
Because they were very clear about her not rewinding her powers. Actually, you know what? I will try and bring up the other scene, actually, because it was a later topic, but I'll bring it up here if I can. If you keep talking,
I will keep talking, because I don't know why people are rattled by this, and I understand that they said like, "Oh, there's no rewind powers." What's up?
Yeah, so there it is. So, for context, did you watch the PAX West gameplay?
Yes.
So, yeah, this was that scene where she's with Vince Alderman, Detective Vince Alderman of the Vermont State Police. She's in there and she's doing like a sneaking thing, like a little sneaking mission. We love those in Life is Strange.
Sure.
And in there, intentionally, she gets caught. And then at that point, it's almost like, seems to be like, hang on a minute, does she rewind time? It's like a little clip section of it. And Max has this little scene. It says even there, she's like, that's new. And she kind of rewinds. Yeah. And it's kind of caused a bit of a humdrum of fuss on the internet, where people are like, hang on a minute, you told us very early on that Max can't rewind. She's lost her powers. She can't rewind time. Right. And then we seem to be doing it.
Okay. Me and you are both on the internet. People, when we're talking about people getting upset and humdrum, it's like you could put like, I ate a peanut butter and banana toast for breakfast, and people are like, what? How could you? No, that's not right. That's not a good combination. But they're getting humdrum about things. Okay. I'm putting it out here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How long have we been talking about this game? About like 2 months at this point?
Yeah.
About 2 months?
Yeah.
We've all seen... how long have we reported on the ridiculous leak? A year. Okay?
Yeah.
So we've all been saying that this leak was ridiculous. We've all seen the marketing for this game being ridiculous. And this is what you're getting high-strung about, is that she's rewinding. That's what you're getting hung up about. So, I don't know, man. It seems like people don't know what good and bad marketing is, apparently, because if this is the one thing that you're like, well, hang on, she's rewinding now? How could you? This is outright. Dude, there's other things within the marketing that's just like, hey, this is ridiculous. So if you're getting high strung about this, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't know. This to me, it's just kind of like, yeah, she can rewind. Who cares that they lied about it? Of course they're gonna say she can't rewind. Of course they're gonna say that, But I don't know. It just
well, it's plot point. They'll be like, she can't rewind, but she can. But her powers evolve to a point where it does it subconsciously. But I think again, the problem is with the game, with the marketing, with the way that things have happened so far, is that it started from the very beginning when they announced it. And then, for example, the timelines and what they were trying to describe, that's the issues with it. Because we said this from the very beginning, and I'm going to be very vindicated in October when it comes out and you start seeing certain levels of disappointment. Because I've said to you before, Max Caulfield doesn't feel like she's the main character of the game. It feels like she was shoehorned by Square Enix being like, we want Max back, get her back in the game and do that. Because you can kind of make the game and it doesn't make a difference, if anything. And then on top of that, as well, with Max rewinding her time, it's like, because you take the power away doesn't mean she can't come back to it, because they might even say, for example, she can't rewind herself, but her powers can let her do that, which in itself, that could be a completely different story element that we don't see yet. People are jumping up and down too much early on here. And let me give you perspective on this, because this was going to come into the main conversation later, but I'll kind of give it here. One thing you really need to understand, people, stop getting misled by certain things, because YouTubers, content creators, influencers are not your friends. They are not your friends.
Except us. We're your friends.
Well, we have different pedigree, because I worked in the journalism industry for years.
And I worked in kitchens.
Yes, and you were supporting me there with my food and my everything else. So I'm deeply, deeply appreciated. But no, one of the things I took away from this, Adam, was that everyone has played that PAX West gameplay. That was what was given to reviewers, to journalists, to influencers at Gamescom, at PAX West. People all said the same thing about it. It's a certain portion of the game. Do you not have any indication saying that, actually, hang on a minute, isn't this a little bit of a red flag where everyone seems to like the same thing, having played the same portion of the game, hand-selected, and you have no questions about it? Not saying it can't be great. The entire game could be fantastic, for example.
Sure.
However, I worked in the industry as previews. I used to hate doing those events, because let me give you an example of it as well. Because someone will be like, oh, Adnan, you love Lost Records. You're like, you never say anything bad about them. Difference is, Lost Records is pre-alpha footage. It says in the bottom left corner, alpha version. It is about 5 or 6 months out from release. Life is Strange Double Exposure is about a month away from release. That is an actual portion of the game. So you're playing an actual active portion of the game, which will be in the game at full release. Do you not wonder for 1 minute that they've obviously selected a great scene for people to play, and they've all been jumping up and down? And then I've seen people's opinions change, being like, I've watched this YouTube content creator online and I feel more reassured about the game. It's like, really? Based on what, a 20-minute game? Are you going to buy the Ultimate Edition early to play it a bit early and then, feel settled by it as well, because that's what they're trying to get you into? We'll come on to this conversation later, if anything, because I feel like we've gone off it. But that kind of evolves into the overarching thing with Max having her powers back, because it wouldn't surprise me if she gets her powers back in some way, shape, or form. It could be a full circle moment, and it comes back and it almost evolves so she can rewind time, but she can also split universes. They're going to do something quite crazy about that. So I'm not really that hum-fussed about it, if anything. It's like, unless they can explain it well, then cool. If they don't, then obviously, then I'm going to be like, well, what was the point and what did this achieve? Ultimately, when you do stuff like this, you need to have an objective. Unfortunately, we've seen about 10 minutes of that, like a very brief segment. We don't know what's happening at that point in the game. I'll pass my judgments when the game comes out. If you can hear it then being like, yeah, that was a stupid decision, or it was like, actually, it was a fantastic decision. But yeah, I'm done there. Have you got anything else to add?
No, I just think it's dumb to get hung. It's just dumb. Like, this is the one thing you're getting high strung about. Like, you got a long road ahead of you, buddy. If you've seen the marketing for this game, you've got a long road ahead of you, buddy.
Oh, for sure, Adam. And let's switch gears away from Life is Strange, because I want to give this a shout out as well. I think this will be something for you as well. So we put a little appreciation post out for Jusant's co-creative director, Mathieu Beaudelin. I'm gonna say Mathieu.
Yeah, it's Mathieu.
I'm gonna say Mathieu. I'm gonna give him a first name because I don't want to butcher his second name. But he has left Don't Know Entertainment. So he's officially confirmed that as of the week we're recording it as well. I'm just gonna pull it up here as well on the screen share for you guys who are watching. Oh, I'm going to pull this up here, which is our LinkedIn post. So Mathieu had actually confirmed this on LinkedIn, and thankfully you can't see this because I'm not clicking on his profile right now, but he has confirmed that he's leaving after a decade at working in Don't Nod on 4 different projects. so it's time to leave. So he put a full thing out here, including these years have been incredible. Jusant is a personal achievement that I didn't even dare to dream of until some time ago. And yeah, after 4 intense years, our game was released, and I will be proud of it for the rest of my life. I can't count the number of you who managed to transform this little foolish idea into something concrete, and for that, I will always be grateful. So we got lovely post here. There's a full thing here of like why he's left. So he's put here as well, just kind of a bit of context. It happened so quickly. After that, it came out. Jusant. It was like being forced to stop walking. I felt a huge void, impossible to fill. In the months that followed, I had huge difficulties considering anything, knowing all the energy we put into one project. I no longer felt capable of it. So after a while, I finally made the difficult choice to leave the company, to take a break, or rather to try to restore the flame. So, you know, it's one of those where I think like it's quite personal. LinkedIn post, I think you should go and read that.
Yes.
Close that for the time being. So there'll be quite a bit of time.
You have a customer behind you, by the way.
Yeah, he's not well.
There's a line forming.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me because he's not been that well. So like, you know, I'm kind of like letting him off with his like meowing. Yeah. So Mathieu's left as well. Jusant co-creator director, and it sounds like it was a bit of like, you know, the project has been quite heavy and bearing on him, and you know, best of luck with him to the future of where he's going as well, because he's a very talented person. But I kind of wanted to bring this topic in because you have played Jusant and you really enjoyed obviously the art direction, the music, even the game as well. So
the sound design of it is just incredible. I hope to God that this game gets much more attention because now it has a physical release, so I think people should pick that up. The vinyl is one of my favorite vinyls of all time. Like, I think this game is going to be unfortunately forgotten, and I hate that. I hate that it's going to be forgotten because it is such a magnificent like color palette. It's got a magnificent sound design. The composing is just insane. So, yeah, it sucks that Mathieu is moving on, but you know, like he said in his post, it's time for me to move on, and I'm looking forward to wherever he's going, and I hope he picks me up as his audio designer.
Yeah, no, best of luck to him because, like, as you said, it's like I think anyone I've seen who's played it has said nothing but good things about it and has really enjoyed it. From, as you said, down from the sound design level all the way to the actual game, like everything has been great about it. This game didn't sell as well for Don't Nod's expectations, but I don't think it was, in my opinion, I don't think it was ever going to sell as massively well because it's a very niche kind of game, if anything. But it did show Don't Nod's creative potential, storytellers beyond Life is Strange, and obviously we've seen that with stuff with Banishers, Vampire. They have a very wide spectrum of portfolio of games they can make. So I'm very happy for him with that, and it's one of those games I will play this year because I have actually bought Twin Mirror as well. I bought it. I bought it before the sale expired. That is a game I'm going to play before. I'm going to play two Don't Nod games at least before the end of the end. And currently they're going to be Jusant and Twin Mirror because I want to box them off. And I think next year I'm going to move into Vampire and Banishers, hopefully, because I want to kind of get into a bit more of the meat of like the RPG side of things. But yeah, I'm very excited to play it myself. Obviously, I have no doubt I'm going to enjoy it because if you guys enjoyed it, you've loved it. I know other people have. So, you know, best of luck to him. If anything, I want to kind of give him a shout out in here as well because it's nice to put faces to the people who are making these games. Adam, next piece of news. It's going to be a brief one. Should we go into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we're going to this one. So we have the lovely Ashlynn Hideman, who's Loretta Rice herself, teased a couple of things. Now, you might know of Ashlynn before this as well because
but I thought that was Rachel Amber. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Or Steph. It was Steph. What are you doing?
So, just for context, Ashlynn had teased that she'd been in a studio shoot recently in LA. So she had teased that she was going to do something which was Life is Strange related. There's a photo of her that she posted on Instagram stories in the studio. And we also previously covered here where she was flying from Colorado to Los Angeles for this as well, with a little teasing message there saying exciting stuff happening. So I kind of wanted to put this in here as a little topic as well, because I imagine we'll see stuff getting into the marketing, which is coming out. Obviously, the game's not that far away, and we haven't had a Who is Loretta Rice video yet either. And we kind of all knew that Ashlynn was going to play Loretta Rice because she'd posted it on Instagram herself before. People, I imagine, so a couple of like, you know, nudges being like, you need to take that down, if anything. Yeah. But no, I want to include that because I think it's going to be interesting. It's one to keep an eye out on for if anything going into the future. And also as well, congratulations to her. She did get engaged while she was out in LA, which is quite nice. And Adam as well, do you know, here's another thing as well. Here's a little bit of trivia because Ashlynn as well. Technically, I'd seen Ashlynn before this game had come out. So I was wondering, it's like, what's the connection? Is like, you look very familiar to me. I don't know what it is. And one thing I found out was that Ashlynn is very close friends with Megan Elizabeth Kelly. And Megan Elizabeth Kelly, for people who've been on here for quite some time, was one of the actors that appeared on Life After Strange because she was mocap for Max Caulfield in Before the Storm's farewell episode. Megan has done a lot of mocap for Life is Strange Before the Storm. I think she did a bit of True Colors. I think she's done stuff for the Remaster Collection. They are very close friends. And I was like, wow. I was like, what a small little world you live in there as well. I was wondering, because even Megan follows us on Instagram. She liked one of the posts with Ashlynn. I was like, that reaffirms my theory of something. And there's a couple of photos of them together. I was like, you two must be really close friends. But yes, they are very close friends. And I was like, oh wow, what a small little world we live in. So let's give them a shout out. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and we'll keep you up to date with anything that happens going forward. Adam, next piece of news. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this because this is a big one. And this is one of the few PAX West stories we're taking from here as well. So we'll go here and we're going to our Twitter page again, which will be pulled up. Chapters, Adam, have been confirmed. So here's what we learned. Alex actually messaged me privately when he was at PAX West and said that it was 5 chapters. This obviously confirms suspicions that it is 5 chapters. So far we have 5 chapter names confirmed, and then we have 4 of the drop-down sections. So if you look at the graphic underneath here, and I will show it in the video feed, you have like a little plus symbol next to each chapter, which I imagine leads to a drop-down chapter with like in subsections in there. So currently we have chapter 1, which is Still Life, chapter 2, Penumbra, which includes part 1, which includes part 1, Table for Free, part 2, By the Horns, part 3, Leaving Nothing Overlooked, and part 4, Avoiding Detection. For context, Avoiding Detection is the gameplay segment we've seen at PAX West, Gamescom, and other people have played. So that's just a bit of context for that. And then obviously you have chapter 3, Spin, chapter 4, Diptych.
Yes.
Diptych. Yeah. Diptych. Yeah, thank you for that. And chapter 5, Decoherence. So very, very different names that we've had so far for the chapters. I'm just curious what you think of the chapter names, because they are like out there compared to what we've had before in terms of.
So I am also one for out there names. I mean, I keep bringing this up about the Essence of Life. That was named after a Latin phrase, and I even have the opening track to Essence of Life is called Laconic. So there's that. But yeah, these are interesting ones, and as one who is also pretentious, these titles are also pretentious. For those who don't know what Penumbra is, and I don't believe I'm saying that correctly, Penumbra is like a gray area, like almost like a small shadow. So a penumbra, and diptych, as it's pronounced, it's like a sculpture painting. It's not exactly. It's kind of like an altar. That you can Google it. It's hard to describe, but it's a sort of altar kind of painting kind of thing. So these are interesting, and I love how we have Penumbra and Diptych, and then we have things like Still Life and Spin. So it's like, if you're gonna go pretentious, go full the pretentious, you know. But yeah, so there is that. That's my thoughts about the titles. It's kind of like, bro, if you're gonna go full, pretentious, go full pretentious. Don't go from Penumbra to Diptych to Still Life and Spin and Discoherence. It's like, or Decoherence. Sorry. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, because it's like, even when you drop down the drop-down sections, because then it just goes to like normal titles. It's like Table for Free, By the Horns, Leaving Nothing Overlooked. It's like, and you have like these kind of more extravagant titles, if anything. Yeah, I've got a lot of mixed feelings about this. I think people will see that when it comes out as well, with the way the game plays out, I think. But obviously, the early access, you'll have the access to Still Life and Penumbra, with the end of Avoiding Detection. is the first 2 chapters, isn't it, Adam?
Yes, just the first 2 chapters. Yes.
So technically, as well, I don't know what people like. Oh gosh, that's going to be the part of the main conversation. I'm like, I don't know what people are FOMOing into as well, because the cliffhanger ending, if it's avoiding detection, wasn't like a large proportion of that the stealth part with Vince Halderman, unless there's a section afterwards we didn't see, which might give it a bit more of a, like kind of like a. I think it didn't end because there was a segment where it shows Max coming through a door. And it seems like that seems to be the continuation of the chapter, but I'm not really too sure how much you're going to be. If you're willing to, if you're going to be like dropping $30 extra to basically play 30 minutes of gameplay, which I think most people have watched now just out of curiosity. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be, I imagine as well, do you think it's going to be four sub chapters within each chapter, or do you think 1 or 2 of them are going to be a bit shorter?
I think 4 and 5 might be 5 parts. I think they're going to be longer.
Oh, really? You think they're going to be longer?
I think they're going to be longer. Yeah, 5 within 5. That's my. I thought even chapter 1 might be 5 as well, just to kind of give it a bit more legs, to run to start with, because it's quite early on. But yeah, that is interesting actually. Okay, we'll keep up to date with that. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, the fact that they should have just gone full pretentious and not pretentious. It's kind of like a little bit, some of these names are a bit weird. It's like, why would you go for like Spin and then Still Life? It feels like you couldn't think of anything as like that kind of like level of like But yeah, it's an interesting part of that with Life is Strange, because you can still like base it as like kind of like it's chapter based, and you can kind of do it with like True Color style. But I'm like, it feels so far distance from where it once was as a series with episodic gaming. It doesn't feel like the same resonance with that. But yeah, we'll keep up to date with that. Adam, should we go into the next piece of news? Definitely.
So a little bit of a small one here as well, but Life is Strange is heading to Tokyo Game Show. So if you know as well from the early starts of Life is Strange has been moved over to Japan from the very first game as well. It had its Japanese release as well, and they've kind of carried that on through the course of the series. And yes, Life is Strange Double Exposure is heading to Tokyo Game Show on the 28th of September with world premiere footage, apparently. But it does say as well that world premiere of Japanese language gameplay. So it might mean that you potentially get the same section of the game that has been previously shown there. But yeah, as well, Hot Dog Man is turning up there. Alex met Hot Dog Man. You can actually watch our interview with Alex to find out if Hot Dog Man is as hot dog as he is in there. But I kind of want to give that as a shout out in there as well, because it is going to Japan. They have some pretty cool pre-order bonuses, by the way, as well. It's very Japanese style as well. It's like you can get little stickers in like the pre-order of like the retail editions. I'm like, actually, I wish Japan's pre-order bonuses would just come over here if I'm going to actually end up pre-ordering something. But just early expectation, Adam, do you think it's going to be something new, or do you just think it's going to be what we've seen already with Japanese gameplay audio over it instead?
I think it's going to be the same thing, just with the Japanese, because like, why would they give away too much of the game? Because they're keeping everything secret. So I'm going to imagine that it's going to be Spin or but yeah, it's going to be the same footage. I don't think they'll go on to anything more. Hot Dog Man are heading to, man, how does Luke feel about Hot Dog Man being at Tokyo and he's not? Yeah, that's gonna be weird.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, it's not going to show anything because it's like the 28th of September it's coming out, and then the Ultimate Edition comes out on the 14th of October as well. So it's like, why would you show more stuff again? And again, as well, red flag guys as well. Same gameplay, same footage, same thing being shown. Just take it as you will. I'm pointing this out as just a journalist perspective. I'm not even doing it as like a, I hate this kind of thing. It's like I'm just pointing out what I've seen before working as an industry person. I've dealt with enough PR before as well, just to let you know the context. Adam, next piece of news.
Yes.
So this is a lovely piece of news that I thought we'd add it in here. The lovely Hannah Telle, as we adore her, follows us on Instagram as well. I adore you, Hannah, just to let you know, has confirmed here that she's going through a little bit of a change in her life. So she's been living in Echo Park neighborhood of Los Angeles for 1 year since we moved back from Denver after finishing filming Life is Strange Double Exposure. Now I'm excited to be packing up and preparing to move across the country to New York City next week. Although LA has been my home since 2006, I grew up on the East Coast and can't wait to be a short and cheap flight away from all of my family. Soaking up the last few days here and feeling many emotions indicative of a big change. Special thank you to my cats and all the neighborhood animals that bring me immense joy. So we thought we'd share that, and we shared that on our platforms just for people who don't follow Hannah on Instagram. Adam, She's going to New York City. Are the Avengers going to assemble Life is Strange style? Is it going to happen?
So I also when she said like I grew up in the East Coast, I was like, where'd you grow up? And then looks like she grew up in North Carolina. I was like, you from Philly? You from Philly? Philly?
Yeah,
but no, she's
see,
not.
your ear was twanging then, wasn't it, when the East Coast part popped up?
East Coast, Beast Coast, let's go.
Adam,
No, she's North Carolina.
Are the Avengers about to assemble New York City? Hannah's going there.
Who else is in New York?
I don't know. Could we see other people there? Could Gonzalo Martin turn up on his boat and the Avengers assemble for Life is Strange?
Are we talking about like the 2012 movie Avengers where they're in New York? Can you name another movie that's based in New York City?
You can just driver based in New York.
What's that?
Taxi
probably. Like you can probably just name a movie and it's most likely it's based in New York City.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's quite cool that I'm happy for her as well because she's been in LA for so long and like a lot of that kind of came down to her career kind of like not taking off the way it was meant to do in like in terms of acting. It's one of those cutthroat industries. I've always said to people as well, like even Life is Strange actors have like multiple jobs in their day-to-day life because they're trying to break into it. Not everyone's a Sean Penn, not everyone's a Tom Cruise where they see instant success. That's why, for example, when SAG goes on strike, it's for the actors, not the big ones. It's for all the actors, the people who appear in commercials, the people who work and graft away. So I'm glad that she's moving to New York as well. It'll be good for her as well, if anything. And then as well, on top of that as well, she's close to family, which is a very important thing for someone as well to have in their kind of life as well. So I'm very happy for her with that as well. And obviously coming back 1 year back into LA after filming in Colorado, Denver. She was there. We spoke to Erica Mori. Erica Mori spent time with her when she was in Colorado. I also knew she was in Colorado as well when the interview had to cut all that stuff out. I was like, God damn. So I should have put the dots together there. But, you know, I'm happy. I wouldn't have said anything anyway, as it is. But yeah, I'm very happy for Hannah. So, like, you know, fingers crossed. Let's see where her career goes next from there. But obviously, we'll all be watching. We'll be like hawks and be like, where's she moving to now? Is she going to Colorado again? Is she going to Pennsylvania? Is she going to Montreal? Is she going to anywhere the Life is Strange crew are? Like, you know, that's the big one, if anything. So yeah, I'm very happy for her there. But Adam, anything else to add?
I will also be moving to North Carolina, so if you want to, you know, Hannah, if you're ever visiting your hometown, let's talk.
So the United States.
Oh my God! I swear to God, if you think that North Carolina and New York are next to each other, I'm going to slap you through the screen.
So New York is like here, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
like
yes.
So New York, United States here. It's like on. Wait, am I doing this right side of this? No, that's. Oh, I'm showing the different side out on the camera.
Okay, it's on. Okay, so New York's on the east side. Where's
so it's near on the edge where like Florida and all the other countries are, all the other states are. Yes,
it's on that edge. Yes,
there we go. So yeah, and your North Carolina's like
in the middle of the east. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're pretty much like neighboring states.
I swear to God. How far? Okay. Let me ask you this. If you give me a ballpark, how far of a drive is it from Los Angeles to New York? How long do you think?
Must be like 4 months. Like,
we're not going on a camel. How far of a drive, like in terms of hours?
From Los Angeles?
Yes.
Los Angeles in California to New York City.
Yes.
That must be like 2 weeks.
Okay, hours. How many hours is it?
Oh.
Of a drive.
Oh God, it must be like excess, like 500. I'm gonna say.
No, it's not 500 hours.
Really, it was massive.
No.
Like you can't be driving that in like
it's
less
not
time.
500 hours of a drive. Like we're going. I'm on Google Maps right now. It is a 40-hour drive, so it is a work week. Yes, but if you put that in perspective, 40 hours from one side of the country to the other, it's a work week of a drive.
I thought it'd be much longer. Actually, that surprises me. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna attempt my.
We're basically neighbors, Los Angeles and New York. Yeah,
like North Carolina and New York are very much neighbors. You might as well be like, you know, rent buddies if anything.
So I'm just putting that in perspective. From North Carolina, if she ever, you know, goes to visit her hometown, from New York to the state of North Carolina, it's a 9-hour drive.
Oh, dream.
Yeah, basically from you to Paris.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We drive into Paris. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
pack my bags up and go. Yeah, I think it's relative. I think 40 hours is reasonable. I thought it was gonna be excess of like ridiculous
reasonable.
hours. What
It's
is
a work week.
Yeah, but like driving across like pretty much most of the United States there to get from like one side to the other, it's like, you know,
It's 40 hours. It's a work week.
I think it's respectable, to be honest, if anything.
God.
The funny part is you don't even have PTO for that either, so you can be working whilst you're doing it. You're like one hand on the steering wheel whilst also like doing your admin work. That's what you're going to be doing. Adam, should we go into our next piece of news?
Yes, we should.
So this is from that none other than one of the interviews that we're going to be looking at here. Not all of it, but just a certain section because I've really caught my eye. This is from Game Rant. So Luc Baghadoust, the studio executive producer, Michel Coe, the studio creative director, and Kathy V, or Kathy Vincelli, the producer of Nod Montreal, all spoke to Game Rant at Gamescom. They were there for Lost Records Blood and Rage. We saw a new a gameplay trailer there. They've also been showing off gameplay previews. But we were going to focus on this part because this was one of the questions that they asked Luc, and Luc gave a very interesting perspective here. So they even said here as well, how does the game balance the present day versus the flashbacks of the summer? So Luc said here, and I quote, I would say there will be like 20 to 25% of the game in the present timeline and the rest in the past. You don't when you go. You see that in the demo. You don't choose it when you go to one time or the other. But the story will be like this. You start in the present, you dive back in memories. We can start discussions and go through these kind of memories. And the game will be structured around these moments. You come back to the present, you talk about the past, and you dive into these memories. So that was the quote there. I'm going to close that. Adam, that kind of like alludes to my my theory that I had, you know, on Lost Records Journal, where I was talking about the kind of 400-day scenario, when she pulls off like the notes from the board and you jump into someone's story.
Yeah.
It feels like almost like a loading sequence where you're going to go back into the present, discuss it, and then jump back into another sequence.
There's a game, I can't put my finger on it, that was similar to this, that about 25% is in present day, but the rest is in the past. And you go into the past and you go back in the present day and you talk about what happened. What could that game be? It will come to me. Can't remember it.
What is this game?
Assassin's Creed. It sounds like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Especially the first game. It does sound like, you know, you're getting out of the Animus, talking for a bit, going exploring the present day, but most of the game is set in the past. So I would say they I wouldn't say that this is a direct correlation to Assassin's Creed. But it sounds kind of like the similar format where there's some present day, but the majority of the game you're in the past.
Yeah, which I'm kind of happy with as well. I was very happy when I've learned that the majority of the game is set in one timeline, and then the small portion is like almost like a recap, rediscussion, and then follow continuation of the story. Because I saw a couple of people being like, my theories have been blown out the water because they felt like almost the timelines were balanced, and I don't think that would ever work because obviously the gameplay, the main sections of the game are set in the 1995 timeline where you have Swan's camera, you're using it, you're accessing things. And more so, if anything, the adult conversation seems to be sat at the table, where it seems to be reflecting on things that have already happened. I can't really complain with that. I'm happy with that because I think that that's the kind of story you want to tell. It's like, as I said, play The Walking Dead 400 Days, and you have that entire sequence where you basically pull off all the different things. You have like anthology stories, and then eventually it leads to the ending where that woman walks up to him. It's like, hey, whoever's like managed to make it this point in the story, you can come with us, and it bleeds into the second season of Walking Dead. Oh, I love that game, by the way.
Yeah,
we'll have to do a conversation at some point in The Walking Dead. I missed those days, but Lost Records was speaking. I think Luke's just like, you know, outlined what I'm happy for with Lost Records in terms of very small section of the game set in this period. The rest is all in the main timeline. Happy days. I'm great with that. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. And obviously, I imagine what you do in the past will then affect the present because, again, we haven't seen Swan. We've not seen what she looks like. So I'm very intrigued with that going forward.
Yes, definitely. So intriguing indeed.
Yeah. And one thing as well, I just had a moment this as well, think about it, because obviously we know some of the actors, the mocap people who are working on it. I do wonder if they are actually the voice actors for the game as well. Because remember, Philip Barker's involved in this game. I imagine he's probably in his LA-based studio. He's come into Canada sometimes.
Yes.
It's like, do you think we have like different voice actors? Like, is like Olivia Lepore actually Swan Holloway's voice? And like,
I think so.
You think she's in that? It'll be interesting to see if they've kept with the same actors for mocap and like, because obviously, like, you know, even the MO, like the first Life is Strange, second Life is Strange, different mocap actors, different voice actors. You know, they had Philip Bart doing it, so it's like It feels like maybe they go higher end with like certain voice actors. I'm not too sure at the minute. At higher end in the sense of like higher budget, like, you know, spent on voice actors or something. But I do wonder about it. But I hope that they are the same people, if anything, like from the get-go. And then one last piece quickly. I want to pull this up as well, just from the actual interview, because I thought it was really interesting. As for the people who always used to call me out and be like, well, everyone's excited for Lost Records. This is why it's so difficult to cut through with the marketing with this game. And we gave Marin a shout on Lost Records Journal as well, because there's a little section here with Luke. Michelle echoes a lot of the stuff here. Well, they said here, when you make a new IP, obviously you have to conceive the player that yours is worth playing. If you could talk directly to them and say, this is Lost Records Bloom Rage, and this is why you should play it, what would you say? And Luke said at response, that's a good question. That's a really relevant question because it is a new IP. And we basically made Life is Strange and Life is Strange 2. And now the new game, for us, it's a continuation. But for a lot of players, they have no idea what Don't Nod is. Lots of times Square Enix would show them Life is Strange's name and they'll play the game. The big part is that we continue to love them to know. We would love for them to know our game exists and of course play it. I would say that is that if you enjoy Life is Strange, well, like we said at first, it shares the same DNA and the same willingness to create authenticity of real life emotions. I think in the craftsmanship from the whole team and all the attention to detail, really, this brings to life. That brings it to life. These details are what we like. You know, I've seen Michelle working with the lighting artist for a long time to adjust the details of lighting in Swan's room. This is more detail you don't notice as a player, but I think we create the authenticity from that to the other characters' voices in everything. We love the attention to detail. If players love Lost Records and Life is Strange games, I'm sure they'll find many similarities. And just to add Michelle's in here as well. I would say the same thing. I would say that if they like Life is Strange, if they grew up with Life is Strange, like us, as we grew up on working on Life is Strange, they should play Lost Records Bloom Rage, because they may also discover something close to the game that they already love. Now that we can also play as adults, we also have more reflection on what older characters will say about teenage characters. We'll see that across generations now, when the story we were telling back then, when was only about teenagers. We're telling stories from different points of views, and I really hope they will love Swan, Autumn, Nora, and Kat as much as they love Max and Chloe, or Sean and Daniel. So, Adam, I just wanted to bring that last piece in, because as I said, we're not going to run through all the interviews. Like, guys, you don't understand how hard branding is. You do not understand how hard IP. Do you know as well, and it'll blow some people's mind, some people still don't know what Don't Nod is, don't know who Don't Nod are. There are people who will comment on things saying, I love your game, the first Life is Strange game. Deck 9 did a great job on it. And it's like Deck 9 will respond saying, Don't Nod made the first game, we didn't make it.
Yes.
That is why hard, because it's so associated with Square Enix. Like, Life is Strange is so heavily associated with Square Enix outside of the popular, outside of the niche casual base, which is like, you know, people like us, where we talk about, we know who Don't Nod and Deck 9 are.
Even my own friend circle, like they think that, you know, True Colors is the same creators as Life is Strange. And I'm like, well, no.
Yeah, and you say every single time where you say people like watching, be like, oh, it's from the creative Life is Strange, and we move on. And you said it repeatedly, time and time again on the podcast, because you can't underestimate how hard it is to cut through with brand IP identity. And that's why it's so difficult. Even if you talk to any of them as well, they'll be very tempered with their expectations, because Michelle and Luke aren't making this game thinking, oh, it's going to have the same Life is Strange success. There were different caveats to that game. That game is AAA. Before someone jumps on it and be like, it's an indie sensation, it's not. It was AAA. When Square Enix is attached to you, it's AAA. Tell me why it's a AAA game, because Microsoft is associated with it. Doesn't matter about the budgets. Budgets were different as well in 2015 for Life is Strange. But still, it's a AAA game. You could even argue it's a AA, but it's more AAA. It's AA would for me be even Lost Records, maybe. Even if you want to call it indie, I think that's a bit of a stretch for me personally. I think it's a AA game, if anything. But it's a AAA game, Life is Strange 1 as well. And it had the support, it had the marketing. It also took off from, well, when I say supported marketing, it had a marketing budget, and it also had a massive massive ascendancy because of like streamers and stuff that carried it. Lost Records needs that same momentum. That's why it's so hard, and I wanted to bring it in this conversation with, just because I feel like it's so easy to overlook that. But yeah, Adam, should we run through our next couple of pieces of news before we get into our main topic? So I've kind of like introduce this as like a mini fire of news topics that you guys can see whilst we talk about it. So we're just going to move to a screen sharing mode. Adam, first piece as well here. Yes. Swan Holloway's replacement has been confirmed. Yes. Speaking of Nod Montreal by Marin, the senior brand manager at Nod Montreal, with Luc and his skin. I don't like, have you seen these screens, Adam, as well? Interesting.
What about it? Yeah, they're blacked out for a reason.
I wonder why.
What do you mean? What you're not serious, are you?
I'm joking. Yeah, of course I'm joking.
I was like, of course
Actually,
you're blacked out.
If you look in the back screen now on that computer where that person's working, the Lost Records journal is there.
Now here's the real question, Adnan. Who's sitting in that chair?
Let me have a look at this.
God.
Interesting.
Yes.
I don't actually know who that is. Very hard, Adam. I'm looking at the back of a head of someone working very hard.
Take a guess.
I think it might be their lead one of the artists. I mean, it's Joyce.
It's definitely Joyce.
It's not Joyce Price, I'll tell you that. But yeah, I thought we'd bring this up because it's a very interesting. I wonder what that is. It looks like a mocap suit. You see the dots as well.
What's that?
Now, Adam.
Yes.
Quick theory as well. Is
what is
Luc Baghadoust going to be taking a Michel Coe page of becoming an Alfred Hitchcock-esque cameo in the game? Could Luc be in the game?
Oh, Luc is definitely in the game. Yeah.
Well, he's all in our hearts, if anything. So,
yeah.
I thought we'd bring this in because it's just very funny. It's very good little bit of social media banter that we get in online. So give that a shout out. And then another one here as well, which is going to go into this. It is none other than Ryan Lucan's birthday from True Colors. We put a little appreciation post out here as well for Eric Emery. And you see Alex Chen in there as well, Erica Mori herself. Fantastic little addition. So we give a shout out to Ryan Lucan on his birthday. And then another one as well. We're going through the birthday modes of Life is Strange characters. One of our personal favorites as well, Adam. I'm trying to pull it up. Why is everything changed here? There we go. And it is none other than, yay, it's Diane Hutton. We love Diane Hutton. Yes. So it is Diane Hutton, Kate Marsh herself, and it was obviously Kate Marsh's birthday. So we want to give a shout out to Diane Hutton for her work on that. And also as well, we gave a shout out to Gabriella Hirsch. Gabriella Hirsch was mocap for Kate in Life is Strange 1. She also played Victoria Chase and obviously more so Chloe Price, which many people of you will know as well. So I wanted to give a shout out there. And the last one as well, Adam, a quick PSA as well here for none other than one of our other favorites as well, Katie Bentz as well. Katie Bentz is working on a horror film, an indie horror film called Water Rights. They're on Kickstarter, so do go and support them there. I think it's about 75% close to its goal now as well. And they've got a couple of days left on there as well. I think they've still got quite a bit of time left in there. So very close to it. So do go and check that out. Obviously, we love Katie as well. So we want to give that a shout out. So that was another piece of news there. So those are our last pieces of news. And Adam, obviously, our main topic is none other than the thumbnail, the title, imagine among many other things, The Life is Strange, Double Exposure, Ultimate Edition. So I'm going to run you through a couple of things, Adam, before we start this conversation about why we are not buying this. The first one was here. So this was the video that they posted on the YouTube page, which is guides to all the editions of Life is Strange Double Exposure. I also have a feature here, Adam, as well. If you can see the dislike ratio, it's now come back because it's on my Chrome. So you can see that people did not take very well to this. And in itself as well, if you need to do a video like this to explain your different editions, it's a little bit alarming because you shouldn't really need to do something like to tell people to buy your game. So that was one piece of news there. And then I'm going to pull up two quick things that we posted on our Twitter page as well, just to give you a bit of perspective. So here it was as well. We actually explained as well, saying that, the current dislike to like ratio was very small back then as well. It seems to have increased and continued to go into a negative direction as well. So wanted to put that out there. And then on top of that, two more pieces quickly. I'm going to pull these up here. Yeah, there is. So look here as well. We put some of the actual feeds in here, some of the comments, which people were not happy with this, this Ultimate Edition in any way, shape, or form. Very unhappy with a lot of the commentary. I imagine a lot of people have expressed these feelings as well. We had a couple of reactions here as well, which we'll get into this as well. And finally, Adam, as well, before the topic starts, because I need to do this as well.
Yeah, I knew you had to. Yeah.
He's back. We have a new picture of Sean Diaz.
The squad.
It's not Happy Birthday, Sean Diaz, where it's a different picture.
Look at that.
Sean Diaz. Yeah, we have Max Caulfield with the Sean outfit, and we tweet it there saying, "Close enough. Welcome back, Sean Diaz."
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I'd throw these out there. Adam, obviously, we've now ultimately this is the StrangeCast view. I'd like to call it. It's almost like the newspapers when they get to the elections, being like, vote for that person or whatever else. I think this is the StrangeCast view where we've now aligned with it. And you said for a long time that you didn't want to buy Life is Strange Ultimate Edition, and you kind of even said it to me off podcast, even before you made it very clear that you weren't going to buy it. And I've kind of been mourning it for the last couple of weeks and months. I'm not buying it now either. I thought this was a very fitting thing because obviously the Ultimate Edition comes out in less than a month's time from when we're recording, actually. And this is our last episode of September, and I think I'm sure we'll have another episode before the start of Double Exposure coming out in the early release. And for listeners as well, you can stick to this podcast because we won't be changing schedules next month. Our review for Double Exposure will be out in November, and we won't be posting spoilers. So you can come here for whatever else you need. We will not be doing that because I don't like the incentive of it. Do you want to start the conversation, or do you want me to take it?
I think you're on a roll right now, so I'm going to let you ride.
Yeah, I love Deck 9. I adore Deck 9 for different reasons. I despise Square Enix. I really do not like this practice. And one thing I'll say as well is that I hate the mentality where people are like, well, you don't have to buy it. Well, no, because this sets a standard. Because if you're FOMOing people into it, this means that a future Life is Strange game or future Life is Strange games that might be in the works, might be made, etc., you are basically going to suggest to them where they're going to put it out 4 weeks early or 6 weeks early. You're basically setting the standard. I've seen it here. Oasis is making a reunion, a UK band.
Yes.
People love it. And they're charging already a premium for the tickets. It's £150. And then on top of that, they've done dynamic pricing when the tickets started to sell out, which means that they've inflated the prices because towards the end, they can sell them at a different, higher price, the ticket salesperson. And then you have like Vox Pop interviews for people who aren't familiar with journalism. You go out on the streets and speak to people for like a montage of clips for news programs. People are saying, I'll spend £300, £400. Stop saying that, because if you do it, people will start charging that. Never ever go above the market price, because if you're doing that, it's going to set the standard for it. So, for example, the Double Exposure Ultimate Edition, the fact you have a video on your YouTube channel explaining 3 different editions, and then even when you put them side to side, it shows how worthless it is in terms of the fact that basically you're meriting your $30 increase on the actual Ultimate Edition, on the Standard Edition, on basically a cat content and 2 weeks early access.
Cats. Lots of cats.
Free in Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. You can even name the cat in Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. I believe you actually could give the cat back as well in this, because the entire point of the cat content in Life is Strange Double Exposure is you're looking for the owner of the cat. So whilst you give your money to Square Enix, you basically have to give...
has been leaked. In that original leak that we reported on for a year, they were talking about some sort of cat DLC. And we're like, that's... I remember when we reported on that and we saw the cat DLC, like this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. But look at that. Life is Strange Aperture does have a cat in the content.
Well, the funny part as well with the Aperture leak, it was so stupid to believe it because it sounded ridiculous. That's why I still stand by it, because even the story sounds like stupid in the sense of the way it's being told. But it's like the entire thing. Do you remember they said in the actual leak, it was like there's life services. They're looking at experimenting with things. There's like 25 outfits available in all these different like editions if you buy them. That basically tells you that the outfits that you could have bought in the game when it was live service have been included in DLC. Like that's what my assumption is here. Like if all those outfits are there, because it's like 6 or 7 different packs. It's like, do you really need this many outfits for like your character? How many times are you going to play Double Exposure? It's like, are you really going to play it like that many times and change your outfit that many? It just feels artificially like fake, if anything, in terms of like the way it comes across. But ultimately, guys, I'll say this now as well. Clip this up, edit it, whatever else. Put it on the front page of Reddit if you want to. Don't FOMO into it. You're not missing anything. You are not going to miss anything. I've already seen it with some of the people that we have who come here. We're always very grateful for you when you come here and listen to the podcast and obviously comment on here. Look at that. I almost went the full episode and everything went off at the same time. All the notifications on all my feeds there. We've tempered people's expectations. Some of them have been like, you're making my expectations like, I'm trying to ground you here, because I'm saying to you now, it's not some alternative story where it's going to blow up. even when back in the couple of months where Adam was saying about, when he was saying to me, like, you're thinking Ken Levine, Hideo Kojima style. Since then, I've learned like a lot more about the game. I've been learning about this game for like 4 or 5 months, 6 months or so, speaking to God knows how many people. Don't FOMO into it. You're not going to miss anything. I'm being deadly serious with it. You're not going to miss a lot of it. It's 2 weeks early access. They're premeditating this, even with the music, for example. They're making people play it because they want people to be excited for it. And I feel like a lot of people are getting guilt-tripped into this because they don't want to be spoiled by it. But I don't think you're going to be spoiled by much of it. Chloe Price ain't, well, I don't like, I don't see Chloe Price turning up there in her car, running down the killer in the second chapter and being like, oh, well, Max, jump in. It's like Terminator style, like,
Yeah.
Come with me if you want to live. That's just not going to happen in the sense. So like, just chill your expectations. Like, this is a cash grab, and I've watched, and I'm not going to name this person. I've watched another content creator do like breakdowns of all these like editions and stuff. Didn't once mention the prices and stuff. And it's like, you come here for like opinions. You come here for non-filtered opinions. We aren't paid off by people. We aren't like those kind of people. I very much said it before about like Lost Records. I have a very heavily bias towards like Michelle and Luc. I've always said that with things. However, that doesn't mean we can't criticize or talk about things. Even Adam has said it with like Life is Strange 2, and do you remember when Luc replied to you saying like, you don't have to like it? And it was very like, he's such an eloquent response to be like, actually, if you don't like something I haven't created, I'm not going to be like angry about it. And you were doing it in a teasing way anyway, when you were like put a tweet out about
I'm playing
it. So it's like
every time I'm like critical, I'm playing a character, but
yeah.
Except for when we talk about this, I'm not playing a character.
Yeah, we're not playing the character now. But no, I know enough at this point to make my expectations settled. Where it's like, I will buy this at launch, at the standard edition, at the standard fee. I will play it then. I imagine Adam will buy it as well at that point. We'll play it, and then obviously we'll do our review into November, and you'll obviously get our definitive opinion. If it carries any weight for you, then great. But I already know what to expect by the time we get to release and what we're going to see with it. Buckle yourself up, guys, as well. It'll be interesting to see because I'm sitting here currently watching the reaction, because I've watched, I put a funny meme out as well, and even Adam retweeted it as well, which like shocked me as well on Twitter, where it was me with Lois's phone. It's like opens up YouTube, 1500 Chloe Price video appears, closes the app, and it's like I got retweeted Adam. It's like basically guys, look at it this way as well. One of the things I think people haven't like really acknowledged is the fact that Stauder has now been very clear, Jonathan Stauder, the game director, about the timelines. So, for example, he's very specifically said it's not an Arcadia Bay timeline. It's not a Chloe Price timeline. It is a timeline that is set in Safi's story. So imagine you get to Caledon University with Max. The story's already set at that point. And then everything else happens to it when you're going through. You're jumping into the other timeline to develop the story that's already happening, which is Safi's death, for example. Because you see it in the gameplay stuff, you can't basically carry the story on in that timeline. You have to come back into the other timeline, which is the one where she's dead. It's like you're only jumping into it at trigger points as well. Mm-hmm. That eliminates Chloe Price's place for me in the story, because basically, how is she going to turn up into it? Because, for example, Adam, you choose the ending where she's dead, and you open a timeline up and she's there. And then it's like, how is she going to play a big part of the story when it's very minimal and fixed to that location?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I said this before. I will say it again. I just don't want to award Square Enix with this decision.
Yeah.
If you look at my Bandcamp releases on Cast of Garden or even my Adam Evalt, you'll see like Ultimate Edition, Deluxe Edition. And that's because like if you were to buy my music, I give you bonus tracks. It's kind of like, hey, thank you for supporting me. Here's a couple more tracks for you to enjoy. You can still enjoy the album, but it's like if you buy it, there you go. Going back to Katie Bentz's
Water Rights.
Yeah, Water Rights. The Kickstarter. I'm like clicking on it, and there's rewards to it. So if you want to support us, as a thank you for your support, you get behind the scenes, you get a Blu-ray for it, you get a signed script, you get thank you rewards, right? The difference between giving you bonuses and being a cash grab is locking content that can like skew your view of what the title is. To say that like you can play the game 2 weeks early if you give us $30, it seems like a cash grab in a way of just kind of like, So I will give whenever again when I'm giving away my codes to the albums that I produce, I'm giving it to people that have supported me, that have you know, given me enough to say that, like, hey, I want you to hear it before anybody else. But for me to put out an album and say, hey, to the general populace, you know, like the only way you can listen to my album 2 weeks early is if you give me $30. It just kind of comes off cash grabby. It's a very fine line. I want to address that. And I'm not trying to say that it's a very broad line and they're crossing it. It's a very fine line between rewarding your fans and being a cash grab. And with the whole cat DLC, the outfits you can get, but most importantly, the 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
The 2 weeks early is what sniffs it out to be more of rewards than it is just a cash grab. And the last thing I'll point out is that it's a cash grab because it's Square Enix.
Yeah.
It's a cash grab because it's Square Enix. I'm asking you to buy my albums on Bandcamp because recently I shared this with Adnan. On Spotify, the retro policy, right? On Spotify, I made 50 cents. 50 cents. 2 people so far have purchased my album, The Retro Policy, which totals out to be about $20. So
9-day difference.
9-day difference. What I'm trying to say is that I'm an independent artist. I use that $20 to, well, I used it for a video game, but the most importantly, it's like I'm an independent artist. I don't have this big financial backing. So when Square Enix is like, oh, poor us, oh, we need the money for the thing, so give us $30, we'll give it 2 weeks early. For that, dude, off. I'm trying to define this in a way, but like, you know, am I making sense here that like there's a difference between a cash grab and a reward?
Because this fits into our conversation where we've been having it off podcasts about Patreon, because like we had one of our listeners, Clark, saying like, I'd love for you to have a Patreon, sent me over a private message. And I sent him back this message saying like, you know, I'm more ethically sound by it because I don't like the fact that it feels like Patreon is almost like a cash grab for people to take opportunity of their audience. And I've already sat here early on talking about the Ultimate Edition saying that $30 is a lot for a lot of people. Paycheck to paycheck and month to month, people spending $30, for example, could be the difference between like eating and like or playing this game, for example, just out of fear of not getting spoiled by it, because this is what it's being driven on FOMO and stuff. And in the conversation about Patreon, he sent me a lovely message about saying like, you know, that's why I'd want to support you, because it's like you don't want to take incentive of it. And we've been sitting there talking about, I mean, Adam being like, whenever we do launch it and stuff, that doesn't mean, for example, if you don't support, you won't get access to any of the content, because StrangeCast is not a holier than thou platform. Anyone can do it. Anyone can set it up, start a microphone, do it. Great. Because I don't sit here thinking like I need to start charging people because they want to listen to this podcast. It'll always be free. So, for example, at the minute, at the moment, we have YouTube videos running that have adverts on it. That's just a micro element that I've had to add on to it. Even my brother said to me, it's like you could lose people from just monetizing adverts. I'm like, probably could as well, but it's like hopefully, you know, at least all the other podcasts and stuff, it's still free, it's still like, accessible. But I'm not going to take StrangeCast and then start locking it behind a 2-week paywall. That's the same as doing this with Square Enix. Imagine if we started locking these podcast episodes behind a paywall 2 weeks, and the amount of people we'd lose very quickly if it, for example, blew up and had thousands of listeners. What do I get from an incentive from that? What do we get from an incentive from that? Like, what ultimately do we achieve from something like that, where you're locking things behind it? Because it's now suggesting that if you want to access your great content, you don't get it. And that's why we've been like thinking really like strictly about Patreon, being thinking, you know, how do you really angle this to make it fair and make it show that if you want to support us, great, and you'll have like a producer's role, etc. But not to minimalize and like, you know, there's probably people we've never interacted with or spoken to who just watch it every single week religiously, and you might even be the highlight of your week for different reasons. But it's like, you know, that's the problem with like this, for example. And even when you're doing the conversation there, you talk about it's like it seems like a cash grab. It is a cash grab, Adam. There's no explanation behind it. It's not Deck 9, it's just Square Enix, because I feel so sorry for those Deck 9 developers. I feel so sorry for whatever they're doing, because they're basically being hamstrung by their publisher. This is, for example, why we talked about it in StrangeCast before, where we covered the interview Oscar Gilbert. We always refer back to it about the Don't Nod contracts with Square Enix. It's like, you just imagine, you know, why they stopped doing this. You understand why that Don't Nod has taken the direction it's taken, done the route it's taken. They're probably hoping they have a success story like Life is Strange with like Lost Records, because then they're in control of things. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of a publisher, which has basically caused havoc with the marketing for different reasons. You might say it's good, you might not say it's bad. The marketing is personally driven on the fact that you have a large portion of Max and Chloe fans who are basically going to FOMO into this game because they want to know if Chloe's in the game or not. And I think if already as well, guys, if she's not early in the marketing, she's not in the other stuff, you kind of got your answers quickly, but you're going to FOMO into it because you're going to spend the money thinking, I might see her and I get a bit of euphoria, but her role is going to be very limited, like just off of a general perspective, if you're going to like do narrative storytelling. So like, there's not enough reason. There's not, for me, it sets a practice, which I'm not going to support. I'm not going to support practice like this. We've talked about it before. Adam's even said it about Ubisoft games coming out maybe like 2 or 3 days, 4 days early. That is still a push. However, it's forgivable to a certain extent, where I'm thinking like, okay, I still don't like this because it's a single player narrative driven game. You can't be giving people spoilers in the day and age of YouTube algorithms and also social media, because even if you try and dodge the bullet, you're still going to get caught at some point. It happens every single time. I play God of War Ragnarok at the minute. If I open one God of War video up, it's going to show me the ending with some YouTuber being like, oh my God, I can't believe Atreus died or something. Like, you know, it's going to be something ridiculous like that. But it's like, ultimately, I would rather just not click on it then at that point. I go cold turkey with it. And I think that's the problem, because people aren't going to be able to do that with Life is Strange, because some person's not going to give any consideration for other people and just spoil everything. And that's what's going to happen with this game. And I can't support the fact that a narrative-driven game is coming out 2 weeks early. This is not even the same comparable experience as Lost Records, because Lost Records is half and half. It's built on that. You buy it at, because for example, you buy it at launch. It's not like you buy the ultimate edition of Lost Records, where you basically get the first chapter and second chapter 2 weeks before their original release dates. You buy at launch. It's half a game. It's half a game later that month. Perfect. They come together by the end of the game when you played it. It's just not financially sound. And it's like, even for example, cat content that would have been free 10 years ago. Even the collector's box I bought, that would be the ultimate edition. That would be Life is Strange Ultimate Edition packaged at about $150, $170. You'd buy it, you'd get the game, you'd get the cat content, you get all the little bits and stuff, and then you'd play the game in its entirety. And you wouldn't have to get early access and stuff. They're now just separating everything in the video game industry. It's like, let's split this apart, and let's split that apart. And we're going to soon get to the point where it's going to be like, if you want Max Caulfield DLC, like you to play the game, you're gonna have to like put like 25 cents in every single moment. I even swore that. That's how angry I'm getting. But it's gonna be like that kind of like trend with
I think like the outfits and the cat DLC, if it stopped there, I think I wouldn't blink an eye to this. But it's just the 2 weeks early. I'm just like, I've never heard of a game ever being a 2 weeks early. Like we discussed this before, even game reviewers don't get the game 2 weeks early. No. A lot of times it's like 3 days early. A lot of times it's the day before. I've never heard of a game being presented 2 weeks early. The only time that a game is presented to a reviewer 2 weeks early is an RPG. That's the only time. And
even that's a push sometimes. Because it's like, they might not even do it. Like, do you know how stressful it is, guys, like working in the industry, and you get a code like 4 or 5 days beforehand, you have an embargo date on it. And it's like, you might have like a weekend coming up and stuff. You basically like, under a time crunch of an hour. It's like, then think about it. This game came out 2 weeks early. Are you actually sending codes out to people? Are you actually going to get early impressions of it? It's like, how are people going to review this? Because I don't think IGN's going to give a review in progress time on this, because Life is Strange isn't that big for that audience. They don't care about it in that sense. They'll cover other things with it. They won't like do a review in progress because it's not Call of Duty, for example. So it's like, who's going to review this?
You have to pay to review this game. Like, they're using this to be like $30 to review our game. It's like, oh wow, I'll review it for you.
I also think it's a bit sinister in the sense that I think it's almost like paid to review, but also more so for content creators who are going to drive this with FOMO. There'll be like 1 or 2 people who will pop up on the internet being like, oh my God, second chapter ended this way, and they'll drive up the thing from it. And again, guys, as well, clip me up, come back to it. I'm telling you now, I will be proven right on a lot of things, and he will also be proven right on a lot of things, because
me?
Yes, you. The writing is on the wall.
Yeah,
the writing is on the wall very clearly of like what's going to happen. It's being driven by FOMO. Again, go back to my conversation about previews. I had a very big issue with previews, because think about it, everyone's playing the same part of the game. I'm not saying that, for example, it can't universally be great. But for me, the minute I see everyone say this is fantastic, that's when the red flag goes off in my head, because I'm thinking, how can all these people think this one thing is amazing? And then you think about it in reaction. I spoke to Adam and said, I think Romulus is not very good. And he's like, what? And it's like, that's the discourse you create, because that is it's not universally something is fantastic. It's not to everyone's palate. And I actually universally go and seek out people's opinions who don't like something. Because I'm like, why didn't you like it? And what do you think about it? I just want to see like what the actual opinion is of it. And the marketing for this game so far is being driven on. I'm saying this now to you. By the time you get to that end of that game, I think there's going to be a lot of conversations to be had on it. Obviously, we're going to be very much here to be doing a lot of like discussions and recaps and stuff. But we've made the decision now, and I was thinking about it for quite a while until like I messaged Adam saying I've kind of like mourned the death of me not buying this Ultimate Edition, because I'm thinking that I'm like, do you know what as well, Adam? I would sooner put that $30 or £30 I'm going to save or something to Lost Records next year.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say I'm going to put it on Bandcamp. I'm like, yeah.
Well, maybe I'll do that. But it's like I could sooner put that money towards another game, for example. So instead of buying the Ultimate Edition, I can play both Life is Strange Double Exposure and Lost Records Blue and Rage for that price, and I'll show the difference of qualities, if anything. Like as I said to you guys, one more time, go in with very tempered expectations. I've known enough about this project now for the better part of since about June or something. Like I've been speaking to enough people about it since the reveal has happened. And I know enough now where my expectations are very different from where you guys are. And I think like when you guys have like a different expectation, different experience, I'm going to be like pretty like, be sitting here chilled, because it's like I've said it repeatedly. Like I've kind of dropped hints quite a few times where I'm at with things. But I like my two things I'm looking forward to this game currently at the minute are the visual set pieces and the soundtrack, because it's like those are the two things that feel Life is Strange about this game. Everything else is kind of a little bit like, here and there. So definitely like, have a think about it, because I think personally our opinion is don't buy the Ultimate Edition, because I think you can buy just the standard edition, support the developers, unfortunately support the publisher, but support the developers more than anything else. But I think the Ultimate Edition is a cash grab. And also as well, Adam, to kind of wrap my last point up, look at what it's laced in. Polaroid cameras, Doc Martens, Ultimate Edition, the collector's Stanley Cups. You're basically, I think the average Life is Strange fan is probably spending over $100 on this game in terms of buying the collector's edition or buying this or buying that. I had a spreadsheet open of all the different prices of things you can buy, like in terms of different editions and stuff. You're easily going to be spending upwards. I think most even American average people will be probably spending over $100 close to it. Even itself as well, the Ultimate Edition is about $80. So it's like you're already spending close to $100 as it is. And this is for a publisher, as we've spoken about before, which is financially struggling with things. Their financial reports have been abysmal. We've been talking about it for ages.
Yes.
Anything else to add, Manu?
I've been saying it before, man. Don't do this. I'm in the ballpark of like, I don't want to buy this game at all, dude. Like at all. I don't think I'm going to enjoy this game. I don't think I'm going to have fun with it. I would rather be playing Balatro instead of this, but here we are in a Life is Strange podcast. I'm just not excited for this game at all.
Yeah, he has actually admitted that to me quite a few times off podcast for like leading up to this, because like the podcast will never go, if anything, even if Life is Strange goes, like we've kind of set it up in terms of being like a Deck 9 Don't Nod kind of thing, where it will evolve and continue to tell conversations where people can come back, and obviously we'll cover the game even after launch and do different discussions. But I even said to Adam as well, my early prediction is I think True Colors is going to be seen a lot better in light when this game comes out, personally speaking. I'm going to go back to True Colors this month at some point, or going into early next month, but I think everyone's expectation of True Colors is going to change when this game comes out. There's too many things, guys. There's too many things, which I think, again, I'm saying go into it with just expectations tempered. If you're going in there thinking that Rachel Amber's going to jump through a universe and like tackle down the killer whilst like, Sean Diaz is punching him down and Daniel's like ripping building, it not happening. Your theories are too far out, man. Like I've watched enough theory videos. They're all out the window. It's not the game you think it's going to be. The timelines are very set. It's a very set game. The budgets are there. To tell those kind of games, you'd be dropping the RPG budgets that Adam was saying before. The game would have to come out 2 weeks before so people could play it. And it's not. And this isn't even, for example, my own expectation. It's not even Final Fantasy VII meta levels versus of like conversation. It's even shorter in terms of story. In terms of the scale of it. I'm not I'm not overly convinced by it, and that for us as well, we will be buying the game at launch at its actual launch date. That is the actual launch date of Life is Strange, and we'll be playing it, and then we'll have a review out in November. Our social feeds, our content will not include any spoilers in the launches. If we cover anything, it'll probably be like review and perceptions of things and what people have said about it. After that, you won't hear any spoilers, so you can always come back to this podcast, so do not worry about that. We are not those kind of people. I'm not putting Adam in the thumbnail with him like shooting Jefferson in like chapter 2 or something, so don't worry about that. Adam, before we go on, actually, and before we go into Spread the Art, I thought I'd throw a bit of trivia to you as well.
Okay.
So I have played every Life is Strange game at launch. However,
Okay.
there's one Life is Strange game I have never bought or did not buy at launch. Do you know which one it is?
Okay, so but you have it.
Yes. I have played every Life is Strange game at launch,
Okay.
but there is one that I did not buy at launch.
Was it Before the Storm?
No.
Okay, you did review that though, but
No.
you
I didn't
bought
review
True
Before the
Colors at
Storm.
launch. Pretty
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. What game?
So, the one game of Life is Strange game I've never ever bought in any way, shape, or form is Life is Strange 2. Because Life is Strange 2 was the game that I got a North American code for my PlayStation, and I have currently on my storage. I've played every Life is Strange game at launch, but I've never bought Life is Strange 2. I had a code for
I was
Life
gonna
is Strange
guess that, but like that was like a little twist. I was gonna say Life is Strange 2, but I was just like, no, but he reviewed that and he loves that game to high remarks. So why would he?
I actually bought Life is Strange 1 in its entirety, but then I got a review code from episode 3 onwards when I was reviewing it. So then the review code accessed the content a bit earlier, so I moved on to that. Life is Strange 2 came out. Oh, sorry, Before the Storm came out, and I left the industry, and then I returned to it when the game was coming out, but I didn't review it, so I bought that at launch and played it. Life is Strange 2 came out, and I reviewed that game, but I got a code very early on from Square's, I think it was Bastion or something, so one of the PR teams for Square, like an agency worked for them, and they gave us a code for Life is Strange 2, and I got access to that, so I didn't buy it at launch. And then True Colors I bought obviously at launch because we were doing this podcast. So yeah, Life is Strange 2 is one game that I've never actually bought at launch or actually purchased. That's a little bit of trivia there. So like Double Exposure will be the game that will be the next that follows in that, but obviously I'll buy it at launch, at its launch date, which is a realistic one, but a little bit of trivia there for you. So yeah, guys, let us know what you think. Are you buying the Ultimate Edition? Let us know as well, because I know some people, I'm not passing judgment, because I know some people are going to go for it because they probably want to discuss theories, they probably want to have conversations about it, and they probably have fear of being spoiled because, you know, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube's algorithms are the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity. So it's like, you know, you're basically going to get spoiled one way or another. So let us know in the conversation, because obviously I think this is a really, you know, more of a meaty conversation. And to be honest, if you're not getting your opinions from us, you're not getting anywhere else, because so far only I've seen Eurogamer and PC Gamer cover this story from like a couple of months back, and no one else has talked about it. And as I said, we give genuine, authentic opinions on this podcast. So let us know. Adam, quickly, comment of the day as well. We'll put this in here to allude to other things. So this was from Beef9637. So the comment said here, and it's on our last podcast episode, I said, I think Chloe will be in it due to how weird and cagey they've been about her. If she weren't, they'd straight up say no. They know that being indirect is going to get more people talking about her, and they also know if nothing comes from it, it'll be nothing but negativity thrown their way. I don't think she'll play a huge part, but she'll 100% be in it. To what capacity? Who knows? She's important, though. They say the game is to do with Max unpacking traumas. Chloe plays a big role in that part of her life. So honestly, it makes no sense for her not to be in it, regardless of ending you choose. And then in brackets, watch her not be in it with a clown emoji. So thank you for that comment, Beefy. Adam, anything? I mean, a little bit coy there, like Square Enix.
Let's just say PR does what PR does. They're not mentioning her for a reason. Whenever you go into, okay, so this is also with you, you're in sports journalism, right?
Yes.
You're in sports journalism. You've done video game journalism, unfortunately. Whenever they talk about a trade deadline or they talk about something and they say no comments, that's all you need to know. That's literally all you need to know. Whenever I hear a no comments when a question's being asked and they're like, well, why would they would just outright say no. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. They absolutely wouldn't. The fact that they're not marketing Chloe like on everything, You know, they're marketing Max because they know Max sells. They also know that Chloe sells. So the fact that we're not even seeing Chloe outright in the marketing, and the whole thing of just like, well, you know, they know being indirect is going to be get more people talking about her. But that's the thing. A lot of things in sports and video games and in movie production, the second they say no comments, that's all you need to know, dude. That's all you need to know.
And FOMO marketing is a very powerful thing as well, on top of that.
Yes.
Because Adam did a very good breakdown in the last episode about Zelda and the example of the poster as well, which you can go and listen to because that gives you an indictment of it. I said it before, she's on the front cover of one thing in any part of the major franchise, which is Before the Storm. Even the alternative covers on the comics, alternative covers, still feature Max heavily because Max is the main protagonist. The marketing is being driven on the fact that you have FOMO to see if Chloe Price is in the game. And people keep saying it's a stupid decision for them not to say that she's in the game. It's also, as well, and I'll give flowers to the corporate overlords, it's also a genius decision. Because if you told that she wasn't in the game, who's not going to buy it? So you're already like, even the conversation, Beefy, like you're not alone because other people have said the same thing where it's like flip-flopping in terms of why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you show Pricefield? Well, why would you show them if she's not in the game? Again, like this, and Adam said it as well, like, you know, in PR as well, when people say it to you, it's like, there's no comment. It's like Hannah was doing an entire event at the Photography Foundation and Chloe was mentioned a couple of times. People give first-hand accounts. Again, do you not find that red flag? Do you not find it even with Stauder, for example, even with Andrea Renee? First question she asked at that panel on PAX West was about Chloe. It was a very, like, PC, like, you know, like a very, like, just straight to the point, here, point, that's it. You know, it was very PR talk, not PC, PR talk kind of conversation.
Yeah.
That's the line of conversation here. And again, it'll be very clear. We'll talk about it more when the game comes out. But as I said to you here as well, it's like, just run a few comment here. Think, you know, how weird and cagey they've been about her. If she weren't in it, they'd straight up say no. Why would you say straight up no? I would drive it off that. I would 100% drive it off the fact that if she's not in the game, I'd want you to buy it. And again, you say it's the negativity, they'll get their way. This is a publisher which is struggling financially, struggling very much, and is, have you not seen all the additions, all the different incentives? They want you to buy this game, so they're not going to tell you straight up because they know if you are a price fielder, you're going to buy it because you want to see this. I don't think she'll play a huge part, but she'll 100% be in it. To what capacity? Who knows? Yeah, again, they've talked about the trauma conversations. We've seen that as well. I expect it to be in text messages and stuff. There's easy way to integrate her. That even me and Adam agreed that. Physically, that's a different story. You'll see in itself when you play the game. And again, as well, you say here as well, it makes no sense for her not to be in it, regardless of the ending you choose. Again, Chloe's a different Marmite character, man. People on social media, people love her. There are also people who despise her. I know a friend who played Before the Storm. He could not play the entire game because he despised Chloe's guts, did not like her. I know some people like represent her in different kind of ways, but she is very, very perceptive of how you see things. Some people hate her, the way that she represents things, because she's a very, very volatile character, if anything. So, as I said, temper your expectations, Beefy. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, thank you for the comment as well. And as always, guys, leave us your comments. You never know who will feature. There was one in the last video about Balatro and Adam being right. And it's like, I didn't want to give Adam his flowers, so we left that out here. Leave your comments in the next podcast. We'll address it because I think the next StrangeCast will be our last episode before the Ultimate Edition comes out. So definitely let us know any big comments you got and we'll pick one out and we'll answer it. Adam, spread the arts and then we're coming towards the end. Spread the arts. Do you want to go first?
You can go first.
Adam, Linkin Park. We need to talk.
Okay.
We need to talk here.
That's not really spread the arts. That's more of just like be aware of what's happening.
Well, spread the arts in the sense of that awareness, but also their new single as well. So it is spread the arts.
Okay.
Because we kind of talked about it very briefly before we recorded the Lost Records Journal, but I was like, Adam, let's leave it because I want to bring it up on Spread the Arts because I have a very interesting take with musicians and music as well.
Sure.
And it might be very polarizing to yourself because you actually make music as well. I think this is the biggest botch up ever in human history, and this is an example of how you do not handle a band, because one of the things that I find very pathetic about this, if anything, is when people who tried to defend this with the line of, if you're not only real Linkin Park fans would support this, and this is what Chester would say. That's like me. Imagine if I was trying to defend Double Exposure. I was like,
did you see Chester's son was insulted by that?
Yeah. Well, and it kind of says, dude. Yeah, it kind of says like a lot about like, you know, when you get this kind of like, when you start seeing those kind of things creep into the narrative, it kind of like tells you things. It's like me trying to defend Double Exposure, be like, only real Life is Strange fans would accept this, and only real, and this is what Hannah Telle would want. Do you know if Hannah Telle wasn't attached to the project and using that kind of line? But in the sense of Linkin Park, it felt quite sad watching it because it's like they'd basically gone on hiatus for like almost. I can't remember when he actually died, Chester Bennington. I think it was like 2016 or something. They've been on hiatus for a long time. They built this up, built this big drama up about like them coming back, and then obviously they bring the singer out, who is Emily Armstrong. Emily Armstrong is the singer of them.
Yeah,
and early on, obviously, they very much angle this in the fact that she is co-lead singer. So Mike Shinoda is the co-lead singer on this. She's the co-lead singer, whilst Chester Bennington, God rest his soul, is the lead singer of Linkin Park. But they've obviously...
And it was he died in 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Damn. So 7 years. Yeah. So it's like, they've angled this in the co-lead singer part, that this is what Emily Armstrong's part is. So obviously I listened to their newest single and it's like, okay, that's actually not too bad. Like just in terms of, if I wasn't associating with Linkin Park, I'd be like, cool, that's fine. But there's like when she started trying to do the other songs, Nom, anything else that's come from their catalog of like really iconic songs, miscast. Big miscast this for me. Like the problem is as well is that he had a very distinct voice. This is like, for example, if Corey Taylor, heaven forbid, died and Slipknot kind of carried on and they brought in Amy Lee to do Slipknot's voice like as their lead singer, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And you see the jokes where people make it, it's like, well, this sounds like a Paramore band. This sounds like a tribute band. It's like even the hybrid fairy Linkin Park band or the tribute band that people know, their lead singer sounds more close to Chester Bennington than this. You are not going to get crucified for bringing someone in who sounds familiar to him. But to go down the decision of bringing Emily Armstrong in, who has her own other things that we've not talked about with Scientology and stuff like that, that's a whole different kind of worms. It's not a good fit. It's not a good fit. And I used the example I said to you before where I said, like, for example, if Paramore, Hayley Williams left, she is Paramore, but if she left the band, the first replacement I would go to would be Cassidy Pope because she did Hey Monday. She's literally the same build. Hey Monday is the same build as Paramore. That is a like-for-like replacement. But this also proves as well in the music industry, in bands in particular, it is almost impossible to replace your lead vocalist, except for minority positions in certain cases, like smaller cases, whether it's like Black Sabbath or even the 10,000 Maniacs. You can replace them and carry on, but it's a tall order. And it's also as well with Linkin Park, they are distinctly known for being with Chester Bennington's voice, because I know people be like, it's Mike Shinoda's band, he's da-da-da. It's also pretty much Chester Bennington that carried that in terms of his voice. People came there because his voice was so distinct, iconic. They were built for his tracks. This does not work for me, if anything. I'm not going to throw a hissy fit, but I brought in my Spread the Arts because I listened to that new song and I thought it was okay if it had another title to it. But one thing that really annoyed me was the discourse was like, well, real Linkin Park fans would support this. And, this is what Chester would want. It's like, is this your critique? Is this your defense for something like that? Can you not defend it in another kind of way? Not a fan.
No. Well, I have better lights. I have a better Spread the Arts. So it is also music. Based on a game that I truly, truly love. It is the soundtrack to Piku Niku. It's on Bandcamp. So I was also bringing up, if you saw my now playing, the retro policy, I was reviewing something on the sound of that. I'm not the one thing I'm not happy about Bandcamp is that the way I smoothly transition tracks, it doesn't do that on Bandcamp. So I was reviewing that and I was like, oh dang it doesn't do that. But anyways, Piku Niku, yeah. So the great thing is that it's on Bandcamp for less than £2 or just over £2. It's 250 euros, which equates to $2.11 pounds, which equates to American, I think it was like $3.
$3? Yeah,
about $3.
The currency has collapsed in a minute.
Yeah,
very similar.
Which you will get for that price, you will get 45 tracks, and they are just so uplifting and bright. And if you've never played Piku Niku, this is kind of like unrelated. Well, it is related because it's Piku Niku. Piku Niku is a very small indie game about deforestation and helping the environment out while also being weird and quirky. And the music really brings it up to life. It's definitely a unique sound. It's definitely a much more cartoony, uplifting. I will listen to it at work. and just kind of like getting like a vibe going, just like a silly little vibe. So that's the best way I can describe this this album is silly, uplifting. So it's the Piku Niku soundtrack. I have it on Bandcamp. It is not that much money, so go to Bandcamp, get Piku Niku soundtrack, and just have a good time.
The big question for me is, if I pay that price, do I get 2 weeks early?
You will get it immediately. So
I'm not buying it then.
It's not going to go back in time to 2 weeks. It's not going. It's not a time machine.
It's not worth the money then, is it? Because I want 2 weeks early access. And if I'm not paying that money,
for $80, if you get Callum Bowen, if you give Callum Bowen $80, he will give you a time machine to go back 2 weeks ago, and you will have it then.
I'd be putting the numbers down for lottery. So if I listen, I don't know if I go back that far back, I'd be like straight in the almanac and be like putting some bets down. I'd have my what's the character called now in Back to the Future? Biff Tannen. I'd have my own Biff Tannen hotel open with StrangeCast at the top of it. That's what I'd be running my business off of. I'm not buying it, unfortunately. If it's not 2 weeks early, I'm not supporting it.
Oh, sorry, but Piku Niku. Have you ever played Piku Niku?
I've never played it. Is it a Switch game?
Yeah, it's on Switch. It's on everywhere,
Switch.
Actually. No, it's everywhere. It's on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. I believe.
Where do you find these games? Is it popular?
I wouldn't say it's like super popular, but people know about it. Yeah. It is on. Oh, I'm sorry. It is not on PlayStation.
Oh, look at that. Misleading.
Yeah, it's on Switch, it's on Xbox, it's on Windows, it's on Google Stadia. It was on Google Stadia.
So there's always a flashback that. A bit of trauma there for me.
That's weird. I thought it was on PlayStation, but yeah, it is on Switch. It is on Xbox. I played it on Xbox when it came out, but yeah.
Do you know what? That would make a good Life is Strange game, though, actually. Citing it from the viewpoint of a developer who's making Google Stadia. The trauma unlocks the power for them.
Oh yeah, true. But Piku Niku. Yeah, you should get Piku Niku, and you should get the soundtrack for Piku Niku. But
I'll think about it. I'm still looking to buy a Switch at this point. Probably like Switch 2 will come out by the time I get that. But yeah, no, that's an interesting recommendation, and it obviously counteracts my very, very scathing disappointment in Linkin Park. But yeah, I think we'll end it here.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Piku Niku is a Devolver Digital game. So I will put it that way. That it is Devolver Digital. So if you like Devolver Digital, Piku Niku.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard it until then. The artwork looked nice though on the cover you showed it. Is it available on Spotify?
I don't know. You can look it up, but I'm not on Spotify anymore. I'm
gonna stream it for like 2 cents.
Exactly.
Less than that, actually.
Like the amount. That's the sad part is that like for $2.50 or $2.11 in poundage, I guess you want to say it. Like, yeah, you won't even make that if you stream it once on Spotify. You have to stream it like 10 times, 1,000 times just to get it to $2.11. It's wild.
That is wild. As I said before, I think the Grand Theft Auto thing was a bit of a botch, so I would definitely take that just because of what the appeal of a game like that size is. But anyway, we'll end it here now instead. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. If you are new here, one last time, as always, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, and share with friends. Helps support the channel, helps keep up to date with all Life is Strange content we do. And also, StrangeCast available on all podcast services. So available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're available on everything. So please do rate us as well. It helps support our visibility on there, and also as well follow us because you get access to all your free episodes as they come out as well. So again, this is our last StrangeCast episode of September as well. So I hope you enjoyed it as well. Go and check out my interview, Alex, as well, which is on the channel as well, worth watching. I think it's very insightful for a Life is Strange fan's perspective at PAX West as well. And stay tuned as well because we have one more podcast coming out this month. No, we don't. Is it?
Yes.
Lost Records Journal next. Yes, Lost Records Journal will come out next at the end of the month. Ooh, actually, yes, it will. Yeah, sorry. One more thing. Yeah. Lost Records Journal will come out. Time is completely on my side, and same with calendar. Yes, actually, stay tuned. Lost Records Journal is back with episode 11 next as well. So do stay tuned for that. There'll be an interesting conversation we'll have in there as always. But yeah, until next time, guys, take care, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Toodles.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.